Good afternoon. Today is the 4th of October and it is time for yet another very vague, not particularly interesting and probably quite unnecessary vlog. Let me just make sure that the stereo is off. There we go, that's better. Much as I like loud harp. Today's topic, which those of you who are on the Seat Toledo membership tier and above will see very soon, and those of you who aren't will see in a few weeks' time. It's actually about something that happened to a friend of mine yesterday. Now, as you know, I go to a lot of these shows and drive a lot of old cars, and I can't really own a particularly old car myself. The Rover's 19, and that's the oldest one we've got. But some people like to drive around in even older cars. You'll notice that a number of very old cars I've had on my channel are actually owned by people who use them on a daily basis, such as Mr. Brisdian's 1989 Nissan Sunny. He's actually just bought an even older car. It's another one I've had on my channel. It's the 1982 Datsun Nissan Stanza. And so people like to, use these cars on a daily basis, and that's brilliant. That's wonderful. But my friend, he passed his test quite recently, and his car is over 35 years old. And yeah, he loves the older cars. I've seen him at shows. I've actually filmed this car myself at some of the shows. Haven't driven it or anything. Yeah, he recently passed his test, which was brilliant. He's not very old at all, actually. I think he's under half my age, so just sort of shows how old I am and how young he is. But yeah, so he was just on the motorway yesterday, and the car rolled, and he had to be cut out of it. Now, fortunately, he survived. Actually, it's sort of a miraculous thing that he has, considering how old the car was and what happened to him. We don't know at this stage exactly what took place. He was taken to hospital. He has been slipping out of consciousness. He's had a bit of a bleed on the brain, and he's had about 20 stitches in the back of his head. So he isn't like the best he's ever been, but he is still alive, and he will actually get better, and he's going to be all right. That's the most important thing. The loss of an old classic is totally irrelevant in this situation. It's not really very important. It's far more important about him and what's happened to him. And obviously this is a bit of a setback for him in the very early stages of his driving career. And there's been a lot of talk about sort of what's happened and people being very concerned, and that's not surprising. Life is a very precious thing. Every day is a gift, really. We never know when it's going to happen. We never know when it's going to end. I don't mean to be sort of macabre about it, but that's really the sort of the truth. And I try myself, as I'm sure many of you do, to make the most of the days that we're given. Because if we spend our time in sort of negativity and kind of wishing for something that's not going to happen, that is a bit of a waste. And you never know when something like this is going to happen, regardless of what the cause of it was or whatever he was doing. And it's made me sort of think as well about something that one of my other friends said happened to them, a very similar story. A girl that they knew, who was about the same age as my friend. I think she was 20, and she was killed in an accident quite recently. You just don't know when these things are going to happen. Yesterday, when I was on my way to the car club, it was a monthly car club meeting, which happens through the sort of 6 colder months of the year, and on Monday nights, and so I tend to go to that. I was just about a quarter of a mile away from where we live. I was going round a roundabout, I don't know, about 20 miles an hour or something, and a chap in a 2010 Suzuki Alto, he just pulled right in front of me. I don't think he even looked. And the AEB in the Sanyong that I was driving, that might have stopped me, but I just kind of saw him coming out of the roundabout, and I thought, I'm not sure this person's going to stop. I mean, obviously I was going quite slowly, and so it wasn't a problem. The brakes on that Sanyong are absolutely ridiculous anyway. It's got a sort of electronic servo in it, and so it's not really a problem or anything. But you know, you just never know when someone's going to be a bit silly like that. Even if you're an excellent driver, you never know if someone's just going to do that. You just never know. And I'm glad I stopped. I mean, I don't think I would have suffered any injury or anything like that, or I don't think even he would, to be honest. I was going very slowly. But nevertheless, you just never know. I mean, we've all done these stupid mistakes. We've all done things like this chap did. And, you know, eventually I just sort of flashed at him and just let him go and just like, get out of his way and do whatever you want to do. But it's very precious sort of life, and sometimes we need to sort of be a bit gentle on ourselves and other people. And we need to just sort of not take what we've got for granted in these sort of situations. But looking out for the other person who's made a mistake rather than getting really annoyed with them and just assuming that you could go through even if, you know, they've not seen you. Just got to take a bit more time and consider what you're doing. You can't prevent these things entirely, of course. I don't know whether the accident that happened to my friend was a mechanical failure or not. If it was, then that's not his fault. Regardless of whether it is, it doesn't matter. So it just really, I don't really know what I'm saying. It's one of these things which just kind of affected a lot of us who've heard about what's happened. A lot of us in the classic car scene, and actually I think in a lot of ways it's sort of drawn us together to sort of think, you know, there are more important things than, like, you know, whether you actually prefer Ford or Vauxhall, or whether you think that SUVs are awful, or whether you would never drive an electric car in your life or not. There are far more important things than this, and actually it's amazing what sort of happens in these sort of situations where people kind of sort of come together and not just try to support whoever's had the issue, but try to support each other through it. And I think that's very nice. I think that's the right attitude to have, because we're living in these really weird times where things change quickly, and particularly when something like this happened, even if it's totally unrelated to everything else that's happening in the world, which it is, it's totally unrelated. It's almost like a sort of freak thing that's happened, which is kind of good to count your blessings while you have them, to be kind to people if you can, just to be a little bit careful. I mean, that's all really I have to say. I do hope that that's okay, and that's you know, the sort of conclusion that you agree with. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below.